watch a video together.
Yes, welcome back.
This chapter. Welcome back to My Hero One's Justice.
This is
because
round
this is 2.
This is where we are. Honestly, so what I have to think, like, I'm trying to think of some way to talk about this, but going like, what was one of the first things you really, like, noted or got you interested in wanting to even just watch My Hero Academia? Was it just me finally going, we should watch this? I can't remember exactly how we
Okay, so I ran into it all over the place on Tumblr, basically. And then my friend was talking about it and how it was different than other superhero things, basically. And I went, okay, sounds interesting. I could go for that. And honestly, what ultimately got me into it, because I'm one of those people that'll watch the first episode and totally judge a book by its cover, if you will, and then not watch it.
Right.
But the first episode kept me in because All Might's story was interesting.
Yes.
It actually wasn't about Deku's story.
It really wasn't.
Or Midoriya's story. It was really more about All Might's story.
Right.
And for me, even listening to myself, I go, but that sounds cheesy because, then you're talking about, fangirling essentially because, you're a girl and everyone's into All Might,
Except that
that wasn't really
not
the
true,
experience I had. So it's kind of a little bit of self-judgment, but the experience that I had really was of going, how did he end up where he is? And in a world with so many crazy possibilities all over the place, and everybody having quirks of every possible nature you can think of, how is he still sick?
Right.
And I was really interested in what it was that kept him isolated, that would make it so he could not address his damage, if you will.
Or, let's put it this potential way, would not address his damage. Because there is a level of almost what I would call almost like self-destruction involved in that character.
I tend to call that could not as well, because psychologically he can't bring himself to do it. A
A
lot of people say, you just won't do it. And I've had that leveraged against me so many times in my life.
It's
You
true.
just won't muscle up, you just won't man up, you just won't whatever.
Right.
And I'm going, if you have either depression, or if you're afraid, or you have some sort of psychological issue, or you perceive that your choices are limited because the risk is too great.
Right, you literally have also, though, no perception that there is any other choice.
Right,
Like,
you
that's
can't
not-
do it because you're not aware. And if someone else goes, I'm telling you this is here, but you can't perceive it as being a pathway the way they can,
Right.
then it's not. All right, so I have got the controller again. We have never done Chapter 4.
So
and it looks like our
find out.
only character here.
Between 3. I bet you there's going to be multiple people we can play with because there were 3 people who were there. So we got Todoroki, Deku, and
on the little
Ida.
screen of Switch.
No.
But
But did you see over there on the left-hand
those
side?
were different chapters.
But were they? They were all in the same section, and my guess is that
They
you have
were
3 of them.
labeled
I don't
4,
care.
5, and 6.
I
Okay.
understand, but I think that there's still going to be other characters because you wanted to start with Ida because that was the focus was on Ida. Remember in this particular arc? Honestly, I felt really bad for Ida, but I was also really frustrated. I think at this point too with him, where it was just like, why wouldn't Ida bring this up? Kind of thing, like he
Bring up which piece?
the thing with his brother. Remember? So this is about Stain. This is him going after Stain because his brother got.
I know, because his brother got hurt very badly.
and now he can't walk anymore.
Okay, so here, this piece right
Aha,
here.
yes, host agency where my brother was attacked by the hero killer who injured him badly enough to force him into retirement.
So
Because-
this arc happened during the games, basically?
No.
No,
This was
that
after.
thing where they were all, because remember, like it was near the end when he got the phone call.
Yeah.
And they were all in the stadium doing those one-on-one fights.
Right, but the thing is that was...
And then this arc was afterwards, but that's when it started. Yes?
I think so?
Because he got the phone call when
Oh, yeah, he got it at, like, the very butt end, and then he just didn't participate or he didn't show up.
Exactly, then he
disappeared,
left.
right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
All right,
okay.
anyway.
I'm trying to remember exactly. So we haven't watched the series for a little while, and that's okay. I don't need to watch it every single part of the day, and also, if I did, I would honestly more want the series on DVD/Blu-ray, because, like, dang. I appreciate, though, that Crunchyroll has it on free streaming, so if you're curious and actually want to go watch the series yourself,
You could do so.
you could go do so!
Okay, so about Sting, it's always bothered me that he doesn't have a nose.
It is.
Like, he looks like one of those cheesy little edits where everybody takes the nose out and
Oh,
squishes the
no!
face.
And they squish the
Like
face
your annoying
together!
orange edit kind
Oh,
of thing.
God!
So every time I see Stain, I'm like, I want to take you seriously, and forgive me, because in real life, you would just be a genuine person that was not endowed with a nose anatomy. But since you are a cartoon and a fictional character, I'm just like, it's the squish face where you renew the
Oh,
nose.
it's the so now we have to have Stain as the annoying orange. Just so
Yeah,
you all
so-
know, I'm expecting anybody to not get that reference because the annoying
fine.
orange was years ago, like Whoa. That is an old meme. My
Anyway,
friend.
I
Good
will
job.
say that I like the, well, I still see people do it all the time. You just showed me recently an Arcana one, where they took everyone's noses out and
Oh,
made
but
that
that's
same
not
thing.
an annoying orange meme.
When I say, I'm not saying annoying orange, I'm saying the way they do the face
Oh, yeah.
with no
No.
nose.
I know, but
And the only reference I have for
Is
what
that?
that meme is called, because I don't know if it's called a nose
Alright, time to
removal.
murder him.
I don't know if it's called a nose removal meme. I don't know what that meme is.
I'm also like, you know what has made me laugh in fighting games / in role-playing games for years?
What?
Is the fact that you can beat these characters and then it abruptly goes into a cutscene where you didn't beat the character.
Oh yeah, right.
And you're like, you know what? So game designers, please just do it so the person loses.
Make it so
like-
that there's some Hail Mary at the end that makes you lose.
Like just or literally just have like the character like the AI on like 100 or something like that. There's a
Right.
level of like you could do this, I feel like. And some people go, "Oh, well that's not possible. You need to be able to come back." And I'm like, "But you aren't supposed to win."
I know I've
So
never done this
feels-
battle, but I wanted to perfect it, and I'm irritated that I didn't.
Oh, I give my friend support. I'm sorry.
Anyway,
It's okay. I've
so
had
cool.
to. I've had to.
And then
I've had
he
to.
runs off.
There,
I beat
there.
him. Bye.
That, yeet!
Okay, so narratively, why would he be leaving the scene? I knocked him out. He's out of here. Bye. I don't know. Anyway,
Always,
news
I
story.
wanna be with you and make believe. And he's just running off. He's become the robot unicorn. Running,
Yeah,
running,
yeah.
running.
Live in harmony.
Harmony, hold up.
All right, so here we go.
Is this actually supposed to be? I forgot that Ida loses his glasses, and he looks honestly like a kind of a different character. It's really
He does. There's so much with like the way their faces look in reference to how they style things. In the same way where if you change a lot of anime characters' hair, they suddenly look like a different character, and you're just like. On the other hand, for me, I find a lot of that to be sort of weak, if you will, because I watched Cardcaptor Sakura, and like she changes her hair and her outfit in every single episode, and you always know which one she
Her
is.
hair isn't always different.
No,
It's
she
mostly
doesn't.
like her hair ornament.
Right, she changes her hair
Ornamentation.
ornament. It's true.
Yeah.
But there are anime where people do change their clothes
Constantly,
and they
I
do
wish they would
change
do it
their
more
hair
frequently.
because real people do change their clothes and hair, and you
Uh-huh.
can still recognize them.
Right. Well, and also I'm like, if you're really paying attention, anyway, it's about vocal performance and it's about tone. I love the fact that he really just has no nose.
Like as far
Like-
as like they drew
like
a
it's
nose
up-
bump there,
Right,
but
but he has no
normally it's
nostrils.
not there. Normally it's just flat across the face. So
Uh-huh.
like it's definitely
Isn't it
different.
though that he takes his thing off and he actually does have like nose holes like in his face? I can't remember. I think he
I have
does.
no idea, but he doesn't have your like nose structure at any rate.
Yeah.
Anyway, poor guy. This guy was very sad.
Except for the fact that it's like it's really sad anyway because it's like you get characters like this sort of going the system is unjust. And I'm not saying Stain is okay. He's still murdering people. There is a level of going like
There's
whoa.
a problem with vigilantism for
Yes.
sure.
But however, the thing is that guess what? To be continued. I told you we're gonna have to play.
Okay, so
Midoriya.
here's the deal.
Ah,
If Midoriya just came running in, that means the next person to fight him is Midoriya.
right.
And then you're going to have a third person come in,
And then
Todoroki, and
Todoroki is
save
gonna
the
save
day.
Deku. Yeah.
So that's going to be... So,
'Cause that's
okay,
how-
so Oh, we got his glasses. He got his glasses knocked off, and we got them.
Oh, baby.
All right. Oh, is that the secret one? Is that the good one?
Yeah, that's the heroic one.
Nice.
Nice.
So...
But you didn't get the ultra one.
Oh, I did not.
Why did the ultra one not go?
So, I need
Maybe
to...
because it's a perfect score. Oh, S rank.
S rank. I didn't get an S rank.
You got the
Okay,
secret win
so my
video.
friend is going to play... Oh, you did go
Five.
over
So
number
I'm like,
five.
where
Sorry.
are you going?
I'm
You
running...
were in the
I
wrong-
was looking at the items, so forgive me.
Oh.
Oh, here comes Gran
Oh,
Torino.
this is Gran Torino versus. Oh god.
So we're gonna
no.
play around the story because the big heroes were out doing more Nomu stuff
Yep.
when this was happening in a back alley.
Yep, and you actually got to meet Endeavor at this point, and you still got to go, wow, Endeavor's a giant dick at this point.
On the other
Like,
hand, some people
man.
had a serious reaction to watching Endeavor work for the first time, going, "He's so
Oh,
competent
competent.
and powerful.
God, I remember everybody-
Why?" And you go, "Assholes can be competent and powerful. Excuse you, this can happen."
That actually is one of the reasons why sometimes a lot of assholes actually don't get in trouble because they go, yeah, but you're so competent, you're so friendly, you're so put together, you're so whatever.
Or you're not
What-
friendly, but
But
you're so
I'm saying that's
capable.
one of those things that happens, you know, kind of thing, where people just go, oh, well, it's this one, or it's that one, and you're like, that's such an excuse.
We get it from his perspective.
Like,
that's all
that's
first
a-
person from his perspective. That's adorable.
That really is kind of cute.
He's
and
like,
also
"Aw,
appreciative.
Here's what happened. It's great. So it's not on auto anymore, so you will have to click
Yeah,
it
no,
through
no,
as
no.
it gets there.
Um,
The Nomos creep me out, my dude.
They really
And the
don't
idea
need-
of how they're made is what does it.
Yeah.
It's not like the physical Nomu. It's what they represent.
Yeah.
So I have a real fear of loss of autonomy and agency.
Right.
And they represent a massive amount of individuals' loss of agency.
Except for the fact that if you really don't have any then consciousness anymore, I'd be like, well, yeah.
If someone's taken away your consciousness, your agency is gone.
Yeah, I know. You don't exist anymore, and that doesn't really bug me, because then you don't exist anymore.
You're like, you were murdered. That's fine. Murder is not sad.
You being done with, I mean, as far as I know, it's not a very painful process. I don't know.
Oh my
Not
god.
gonna be
If
really
I'm
morbid
murdered,
here.
but it's not painful, it's okay. Says
Well,
Scandal.
hey, man.
2020. That's terrible. You stuck him in a wall.
I did stick it
I
in a
love
wall.
that.
Because you said that I murder people and it's not
I'm
painful.
also like, okay, so here's the question. Who tailored shorts for that boy? You create this giant-ass person, and they're a monster, quote, and then you make them nice-fitted jeans. Who does?
I don't know.
Because I imagine, like, if they are this sort of passive monster that has very little will of their own except for to take direction, basically, from what I understand. Like, you basically, like a robotic guard dog, you point and shoot, you tell them where to go, and they just kind of wreak havoc over there, which is my understanding of Noah's behavior.
Right.
Then who dressed them and got them in clothes that fit? Because as far as I understand, they take on this form as a result of the way they're created. So, do you create them and then, as like All For One is creating them, he has in mind a size and he picks out the clothes beforehand as he mashes them together? Like, these are the questions I have.
Aha, right. Alright, I'm trying to figure out how to...
You don't have a lot of practice with
No,
Dragon Ball.
I really don't.
So this is why it's really good to practice in the local player battles, which we've done a little bit of, but there are some characters I am super bad at. And when we were doing the Deku tutorial, I was assuming we'd be like moving through tutorials with these other characters, and
Nope.
apparently not. That is the moveset for everyone, and you better just remember your buttons and use them. And even though they're going to look and move completely differently for each one of these characters doing those move combinations, that's all you got. Like, I am crap with Froppy. I do not play well
Froppy is kind of like the end of your existence.
with her
Yes!
at all. Ooh, good
Rasa
job.
Ultra.
That looked great.
Yes!
Just
I beat you
cannonballing
anyway.
into existence. Whee! That's hilarious. And the police come by and gently extract you from the, asphalt.
And again, more infrastructure damage that they never really seem to address, which is very frustrating in my personal opinion.
I mean, they do address it in the series, but in here I don't think they're telling a lot of story. I don't think they're doing a lot of world building in here. I think they're
Right.
just doing, like, basic story.
Well, it's also one of those things where you go, it's a fighting game. People expected you to blow something up or something epic happens, so they're like, there's a
Oh, he
limitation.
does mention it right there. You're too
Ah.
early.
I said
You were too early. My friend
I'm
was
so
too
sorry.
early.
I mean, Endeavor also destroys a lot of things, actually, speaking of.
I watched him
Like,
just
he's
pouring lava onto
I
the street. I'm
know.
like, isn't that earth and not just fire?
We actually got really upset about it when we first watched him, like, climb up the side of a building. Remember how he left all those footprints?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was
melted into the side of
stunned.
the building.
I
Yeah.
was like, dude, that is still damage. Like, whoa. A hero like him, or like most of them, they really do cause a ridiculous amount of damage. But my question is going, okay, where's the acceptable amount of damage? Is it then Endeavor running up the wall? Like, that's why I like, though,
Here's
big
a question
heroes.
I've gotten that I would want to know is basically going, okay, if you're in this world and you've got this experience of going, I've been trained as a hero, right? And so I know that I'm not supposed to use lethal force because that is one of the things because you're supposed to keep people alive.
Right.
And that I'm not supposed to do infrastructure damage, etc.
Right.
And then I go, okay, do you get trained on what kind of infrastructure damage you're allowed to do, such as these are public service heroes that do infrastructure repair, so you'll prioritize damaging cement things over like asphalt things over metal things
that's a
because
great
you
question.
know who works to repair it and that they're available.
Oh,
And
that
so
is
you're like,
because but that again leaves you in a really weird place because I'm like, okay, so you have different priorities. Then if you guys are just only preserving basically the status quo, that's horrible. Because again, like we mentioned, actually, what we haven't. I'm sorry, I'm actually forgetting what we haven't talked about because we really
that
did
first
do our
episode we
previous
did like
episode.
5 times.
We did
before
more
we
than
got to
that.
work.
It was really bad.
It sucked.
But what happened basically was there was a discussion about basically the priorities of the culture and going where some people go, hey, My Hero Academia seems like it has a lot of basically confusing messages in it, or at least it has a very solidly confusing one, where it goes, oh god, these people, where they struggle with basically being oppressed because they don't look human, or they're basically got the inappropriate quirk, or as it might be, they're from a poor area, so they didn't actually have enough basically structural or bureaucratic support,
yeah.
or like even vocal support, or like they didn't have counselors or whatever it was. Like they talk about how in the series itself there's characters that literally they're like, wow, they really must have fallen through the cracks. They were literally somehow missed, and that's wild kind of thing. And it's like, but if that's still happening, I'm going, the reason why then, as far as I can tell, that people are lashing out is because they're lacking support. It's not just because they want to watch the world burn, which is a thing that All Might literally in the first season immediately accuses Shigaraki of doing, and he acts all surprised. Wow, you figured me out almost instantly, except that I liked my friend's response to it, which I thought was funny.
So what I was going to do is I was like, you got All Might going, when they attack in the practice dome, the rescue dome.
The USJ.
The USJ, they have all these, villains show up, and then All Might comes in and he's like, you just want to do bad because you want to do bad, basically. You just want to do bad to be evil. And Shigaraki's like, oh no, you figured me out. That's it. I just want to do bad things to be bad. And the way I interpret it is it sounds a level of incredibly sarcastic. Like mocking sarcastic, like, oh yeah, of course you would think that bad people are just bad. And that we do things for no reason, with no motivation, just because, again, as my friend said it, we want to watch the world burn. And I don't think there are many people out there that really do that. And as much as people go, well, if you help people, there's going to be someone who just wants to watch the world burn. And I go, okay, percentage-wise, a person who just wants to watch the world burn would be way less than what we got going on now.
But also, I was going to say a thing that I think is really interesting about that particular concept, though, is that right now, we don't actually know if those people exist because we don't have a structure that's actually intended to deal with preventative care and support, at least here in the United States. So people arguing for that, going, no, there are just people who will never accept it, never understand, blah, 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 whatever.
No matter how much you help people,
we haven't even started yet. You have no grounds to stand on because we're not even at that point to have that conversation. That's another conversation to have at a different
I actually had
point.
my dad, when I was talking about the potential of universal health care and or universal basic income kind of thing, with this idea of going, yeah, well, if you gave everybody stuff and just let them do what they wanted to, such as work jobs that they felt comfortable in because they didn't have to think about the income that much, all they had to do was think about whether or not they wanted the job because they already had an income, etc.
Right.
He's like, yeah, then if you gave everyone housing, you're just going to have people who are just going to sit there and go, I'm just thinking about how to steal a neighbor's stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, if they have stuff, you don't know that those people will exist anymore, actually.
Yeah,
You don't know, if you don't support people, how people will react when they're supported.
Yeah,
And
have
again,
no clue.
Primary research has shown all the time where they go, oh yeah, well, basically hoodlums and gang members come from underprivileged areas. And I'm like, yeah, underprivileged areas, which means people aren't supported.
They don't have resources. What the crap do you think they're doing? They're looking for resources.
Gangs happen in really poor areas.
XX.
Oh my god,
Smash.
super poor areas. You got him.
Yeah!
Woo! And it's like,
good job.
yes, because in really poor areas, people have no support, no community, and like connection with basically programs around them.
Yeah, it was actually a study that they talked about in one of my sociology classes when I was in college. And my teacher
bonus
brought up an
nothing.
instance
Oh,
where
go
they
ahead.
had actually taken a U.S. basically city, like a small little town or city, and they had more or less isolated it, and they decided to basically make it where they cleaned up the entire town. They fixed all the buildings, they made everything look really pretty and nice, they helped a lot of the people get care and support, and it was an experiment, right? They wanted to see what would happen. A lot of them were going, oh yeah, the whole thing's just going to fall apart again because no one would care.
Right.
They were stunned because as soon as everybody basically had their standard of living elevated, everybody else felt way more motivated to be involved and suddenly had way more time, way more resources because they were all like, my area is clean, I want to keep it clean. People weren't just running around breaking, glass off the buildings,
And they weren't re-graffitiing things. They were respecting the fact that it was cleaned up and then it was done for them.
I feel like
But the community was connected to the project in some way of like they knew it was done for
What
them.
happened to Todoroki?
Yeah, he doesn't exist in this
What
one.
happened? Oh god. So in this canon, Todoroki does not exist in this fight?
Oh, nope, here he
Nope.
is. You're 2 seconds too early again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said a thing, but you know what?
It's
We
fine.
can't fight him.
Because
In the next next one. Thank you very much, guys, then, for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, please feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi or our Patreon if you'd just like to support us, if you'd just like to go over there and sponsor us to play a video game, or if you'd just like to tip us because you think we're badass, which is, you know, legit. But other than that, though, I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies. And it was great playing with you. Bye!